What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Cinema. My name is Tyler, and I'm here today with even more Star Wars goodness from a very, very busy weekend for the Lucasfilm marketing team. D23 was this past weekend, and we got to see a lot of really great stuff. That wonderful Mandalorian trailer and an official announcement of the Kenobi series on Disney+. But probably the most exciting thing we got was this morning after D23 is over, and it's an exciting sizzle reel shown exclusively to fans of the D23 Expo for the Rise of Skywalker. Of course, everyone has already heard what happened in that footage, and just the description alone blew up the internet. But now we have an official release of this footage, and I'm here today to hopefully help you catch a few of those things that you missed while your brain was entirely focused on seeing Darkseid Rey at the end of this teaser. Pretty similar to the Avengers Endgame final trailer, we get a super epic recap of the previous films in the Skywalker saga thus far, and it's really good. But today we're just going to be focusing on the footage that we get from the Rise of Skywalker. So we kick things off with a couple of nice shots of the group exploring Pisana like we saw in the last trailer, but what's cool is we get a quick look at the Aki people who are the inhabitants of this planet, and it's really great to see something a bit different on a Star Wars desert planet rather than a really grubby looking marketplace flooded with stormtroopers and alcoholics. But we get a really great shot of Leia, and let me just say really fast how impressive it is that they've created this using footage from The Force Awakens, because you would not be able to tell unless somebody told you. I knew I was only able to tell because somebody told me. But the next couple of shots are what I think is the most important in the trailer. We get a quick shot of some Resistance fighters coming out of hyperspace, and they all seem to be pulling a Han Solo and making their approach to this world at light speed. But then it's the next shot that's really, really important. We see hundreds of Star Destroyers in the sky, and this might be something you may have missed. If you look at these destroyers for literally longer than half a second, you'll see that these are Imperial-era Star Destroyers. These aren't from the First Order, but we're going to be talking about this a little bit more later on. And it's the same thing we see with the Resistance fighters as well, that they're flying Rebellion-area X-Wings. They're not the new, sleek, longer, more updated versions of them, but these are the original fighters used in the original trilogy, so it means they're kind of scrounging for what they could find. But we'll get on to more of that later. And we get a quick look, and our first look in a trailer of Janna flying in the Millennium Falcon with Finn, and a Resistance pilot flying the Falcon. Possibly Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley piloting it, but we're not too sure. Doesn't seem to matter too much yet. We got a really shocking shot of C-3PO with red eyes, but we're also going to get back to that one later in just a second. We get a quick shot of a planet being ravaged by what looks like similar technology to the weapon used in Starkiller Base, but on a smaller scale. There's been a lot of rumors going around the internet right now of a Star Destroyer fitted with a weapon that wouldn't destroy a planet, but ravage the surface of it, which, in complete honesty, that's all you really need if your goal is to kill all the people on the planet. So, if this is true, most likely that's what we're seeing in the previous trailer with the shot of Kylo Ren running through the Red Forest and completely clotheslining some goon in the aftermath of this weapon. Possibly it's even used on the forest planet we see in a bit of this footage and in some of the other things we've seen in previous trailers. We also get a pretty cool shot of Rey ripping her lightsaber out of something and chucking it through some trees and using the Force to pull it back Thor style. Not sure what the red cloth she's holding or the stick she's holding in her other hand is, but probably not that big of a deal yet. And then we get this quick shot of Kylo Ren igniting his saber, looking all dramatic, walking off into the distance. And it shows what we learned from this shot is that it was definitely him flying the TIE fighter we see in the last trailer, the one that Rey does the cool backflip over. Now, everyone assumed that it was. They showed you that it was. I didn't think it was. I thought it was some misdirect like the Last Jedi trailer and all those other things that we do with this crazy misdirect. But nah, it's definitely him. We get that amazing look at the tsunami battle between Kylo Ren and Rey, and then there's the line from Palpatine explaining, "Your journey is near its end." And even though we get the evil Rey shot in this trailer, he could be talking to literally anyone. So there's nothing to rule out here. He could be talking to Kylo Ren, he could be talking to Rey, he could be talking to Finn, he could be talking to Poe, Leia, or mind you, really he could be talking to BB-8 for all we know. Moving on to that wonderful, wonderful shot of Rey wielding a double-bladed red lightsaber in her Sith-looking garb. The saber she's holding is very reminiscent of the Temple Guard's lightsaber, mixed with Kylo's Kyber crystal. So if you have like the folding lightsabers shown in the in Clone Wars and in Rebels from a lot of the Temple Guards will wield something similar. So possible that it's some kind of Sith temple. We're not sure yet. But before this shot, we do get to hear Darth Vader's breathing, as well as the same whispering we hear from the cave in Rey's vision in The Last Jedi. So very, very possible, and odds are this is just a vision, but who knows, we'll have to see as we get closer to the film's release. Now, what does this all mean, you may ask? Well, be quiet, because that's what I was going to tell you before you asked a stupid question. Now, going back to the Star Destroyers and what this might mean, especially for Palpatine's return. Those Star Destroyers definitely weren't just sitting around in the previous films. They definitely didn't just come out of nowhere, because if the First Orders had these the entire time, they would have been immensely convenient in any of the previous films. I mean, look at The Last Jedi. They could have absolutely curb-stomped that Rebel cruiser in half a second with thousands of Star Destroyers. So obviously the First Order hasn't had these in their possession previously, or else we definitely would have seen them before. So I don't think that these are like owned by the First Order. This isn't something that Kylo Ren is launching some giant attack. So where could they possibly come from then? It's possible that they came from the remains of the Death Star that we see sinking on this planet at the end of the first trailer, but I think the odds of that are astronomically low. So either one of two things. Now, this is where it gets a little bit crazy, but it's definitely possible that these came through time, that they came through the time portals. We know that time travel is an established thing in the Star Wars universe now, when the time portals were introduced in Star Wars Rebels and used to save Ahsoka. So time travel isn't something we can't rule out. It's a very possible thing that these Star Destroyers were literally pulled through time from the Imperial era to take down the Resistance in this grand final battle between good and evil. But I really, really hope that they don't do this. It's completely possible, but I do not just want another fan-servicey time travel plot that plagued Avengers Endgame. We don't need that in Star Wars. I don't feel like it fits the universe. I really don't think it's something that should happen, but we'll have to see. But I think our more likely option, what I think this all means, everything that we've gotten so far leading up to Palpatine's return. Now, the Emperor, in my opinion, somehow survived the events of the Return of the Jedi, because, I mean, Darth Maul got cut in half and chucked down a giant space tube, and he was fine, and Palpatine was only chucked down his giant space tube. So there's definitely a way he could have survived, and I believe that Palpatine has been manipulating everything that has taken place in this new trilogy from behind the scenes, influencing everything and everyone through the Force. The rise of the First Order, Supreme Leader Snoke, Ben Solo's turning to the dark side and Luke's considering killing him, all of Rey's Force visions, and everyone meeting, and every connection that we've seen so far between these characters in this new trilogy. Basically, in an effort to prepare the galaxy for the perfect circumstances for his return, so he can wipe out the last of the Jedi / the Rebellion when they're at their weakest and assume control of the galaxy. But we'll have to see what happens. We've only got like 100 or something days left until this movie, so we'll find out soon enough, and odds are we're going to get another trailer with another big reveal in October when tickets go live. But what do you think of all this Dark Rey Palpatine business? Make sure to leave a comment below, and make sure to subscribe for more movie content, and thank you so much for watching, and make sure to tune into our podcast every week on Thursdays, and you can hear more about our thoughts on this trailer and The Mandalorian and everything else revealed at D23 this week.